من بيوت الله يتلون كتاب الله ويتدارسونه بينهم إلا نزلت عليهم السكينة وغشيتهم الرحمة وحفتهم الملائكة وذكرهم الله في من عنده. إخواني، مدارسة القرآن من أعظم ما يقوي العلاقات الأسرية. يعني أي زوجين متشاحنين تتكرر الخلافات بينهما وتتكرر المشاجرات بينهما، أقول لهما اقرأا معا كل يوم صفحة من القرآن وتدارسوها مدارسة عامة في المعاني، في التجويد، في أحكامها، في تدبرها. كل يوم اجعلا بينكما صفحة واحدة من القرآن، وهذه الصفحة بإذن الله تعالى كفيلة لأن تذيب الخلافات الكثيرة التي بينكما. ولا أعلم زوجين يتدارسان القرآن معا وبينهما شيء يذكر من الخلافات. وقد أنا كنت ل9 سنوات أعمل في مجال الاستشارات الأسرية والمشاكل الزوجية حتى شاب رأسي. كنت أسأل كثيرا من الأزواج الذين عندهم مشاحنة طويلة لفترات طويلة غير مبررة، يعني لا يوجد سبب ظاهر، فأجدهما زوجين بعيدين عن القرآن، ليس بينهما مجلس للقرآن ولو صفحة واحدة في اليوم الواحد. متى قرأت القرآن آخر مرة؟ في رمضان، إذا كان قد قرأه في بعد ذلك، الله المستعان. قال أهمية المدارسة في تقوية العلاقات، الروابط الأسرية، هذا الجفاء الذي يكون بين الأب وابنه، بين الأخ وأخيه، أو بين الأخ وأخته، مثل هذه المجالس تقوي الروابط الاجتماعية بين أفراد الأسرة، وكذلك تنمي عقل الطفل. الطفل يحتاج إلى أن تحاوره وتحدثه، أحيانا تحدثه بموضوعات ربما يتحدث فيها الكبار، هذا كله ينميه. كما قالوا المجالس مدارس. يأخذ الواحد منا ولده ليجلس في مجالس الكبار ليستمع كلام الكبار. هذه المجالس، مجالس التي فيها مدارسة للقرآن، تنمي عقل الولد وتنمي ذكاءه وتنمي شخصيته. تفضل يا شيخ.
As we're returning back to the rights that we mentioned regarding the Quran and what it has upon us, from these rights the Sheikh mentions is consistently discussing and going over and exploring the Quran with the household, right? Discussing the Quran, teaching the Quran, keeping it relevant within the household. And what does the Sheikh mean by this exactly? And what are the benefits of this? From the things that the Sheikh began with is the known hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. That speaks about any type of people, a group of people that come together for the sole purpose of going over the speech of Allah Azza wa Jalla and going over its meanings and going over the benefits that are extracted from it. These are the kind of people where Allah Azza wa Jalla allows His tranquility and His bounty and His mercy to descend down upon this specific gathering that has solely came together for His purpose, to go over His speech, to go over the Quran. And not only that, He causes the angels to descend down. The angels who are known to be only inclined towards obedience. And all they do is obey Allah Azza wa Jalla. So they only incline towards the gatherings of obedience. Nevertheless, the gatherings where the speech of Allah Azza wa Jalla is mentioned. So they come down, right? And they spread their wings on this gathering. And this gathering, it's always known to be a tranquil gathering. So this is the hadith that the Shaykh began with to show you. This is the general benefit of just gathering for the Quran. Imagine a household that continuously practices coming together just to go over the Quran once a week, how they end their evenings, after dinner, whatever it may be. And we're not talking about an intensive studying of the Quran where we go over its different sciences and the likes. We just take a page or two and we go and alternate in reading this page, and perhaps we briefly ponder over what this page has told us, how Allah Azza wa Jalla is talking to us, what are the benefits to be extracted. This is something that anyone can do. Even if one may lack the Arabic language, bring the Quran, read it, and have the translation over you, have the translation with you. This will be sufficient. We're not talking about something, a deep dive into the Quran, right? So this has many benefits to it, as the Sheikh mentioned. We just talked about one, the general hadith. From the benefits, especially for the household, one, it strengthens the bonds and the relationship within the household. It strengthens the relationship between the spouses. It strengthens the relationship between the father and the mother and their children. Or it is from the greatest things that bring forth love and compassion, right? And bond between the household. When you go over the Quran and discuss the speech of Allah Azza wa Jalla, it's very hard to find differences, animosity, right, and transgression between the members of the household. And the Sheikh mentions an example. He mentions that he used to take part in, doing family counseling and speaking to, families who may have issues internally, right? And he mentions not one client that he had, or not one family that came his way, except that they abandoned the relationship with the Quran. In other words, there's not a family, a household that prioritizes the Quran, except that they will be free from these differences. They'll be free from this animosity that has entered into many of our households today. May Allah Azza wa Jalla protect us from it. Also, from the benefits of these gatherings that occur in the household, amongst the household and the family, is that it also specifically enhances the children's intelligence and their mental capacity. When you have these constant discussions revolving around the speech of Allah Azza wa Jalla, the most eloquent of speech, the speech that is the most comprehensive, right? That is the most complete. The knowledge of everything is found in the Quran, and is the creator of all, the most wise, the most knowledgeable, the one that knows all, that's speaking to us. So when you build your child upon discussing the verses of Allah Azza wa Jalla, they reach a level of intellect and understanding, and to keep it practical, that will surpass everyone within these Western societies. You will see everyone around you is we just talked about the lack of personality and communication skills and social awareness. The mental capacity and the level of intelligence for our children has severely dropped, and the standard is very low. So engaging in these kind of conversations and these dialogues with our children will enhance their intelligence, will cause them to be much smarter, much understanding, much more aware of their surroundings. And most importantly, they are looking at life through the proper perspective. These are from the benefits of engaging in these kind of gatherings on a consistent basis and establishing it within the household.
الحق السادس: العمل بالقرآن. انتبه أيها الأب، وانتبهي أيتها الأم. من أعظم المخاطر أن يشعر الطفل في البيت بالتناقض تجاه التعامل مع القرآن. أن يرى والده يأمره بالصدق الذي أمر به القرآن ثم يكذب الأب. أن يرى والده، سامحوني على هذا اللفظ، منافقا. أن يرى والده منافقا يدعو إلى شيء ويطبق شيئا آخر. وكما تعلم، ولدك هو ألصق الناس بك. الناس خارج بيتك تبتسم في وجوههم لأسباب كثيرة دنيوية، وتخالقهم بأخلاق حسنة، وربما تستر كثيرا من عيوبك عنهم، لكن أولادك في البيت يرون منك تفاصيل لا يراها الناس الآخرون، فيطلعون على عيوب منك تختلف عما تظهره للناس في الخارج. أحد الأبناء يقول عن أبيه، يقول: يا أمي هذا أبي منافق، يقول لنا افعلوا، القرآن يقول كذا كذا كذا، يجب أن علينا أن نكون كذا 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 كذا، ثم لا يفعل. طبعا بغض النظر عن كلام هذا الابن يعني واللباقة والكذا، لكن انظروا إلى هذه القناعة الخطيرة التي توصل إليها هذا الطفل الصغير بسبب حصول التناقض عنده بين ما يأمره به أبوه من العمل بالقرآن وبين مخالفة الأب للقرآن. وأيضا مما يفيد في العمل هو يا إخواني ثمرة الفهم والتدبر. يعني يتولد الدافع عند الإنسان لأن يعمل بعد أن يتدبر القرآن وبعد أن يفهم معانيه بلا شك. مما يفيد جدا أن نعظ الولد بالقرآن. يعني لا يكفي أن نقول له كف عن الغيبة، الغيبة حرام، لا، نذكره بالآيات التي تحرم عليه الغيبة. لا يكفي أن ننهاه عن الكبر، بل نذكر له الآيات التي تنهى عن الكبر. لا يكفي أن نذكره ببر الوالدين، نذكر له الآيات التي تحث على بر الوالدين. هذا جدا فيه نفع كبير جدا، لأن يتعلق أن يربط بين القرآن وبين العمل به، والله تعالى أعلم.
The sixth of these rights that the Quran has upon us as individuals, and most importantly as families and households, is acting upon the Quran and applying the Quran. And as we all know, and as the Sheikh has mentioned himself as well, that this is from the greatest and the most important fruits that is to be found with the Quran. Learning is important, memorizing is important, reciting it properly is important, applying it is the most important thing, right? Rather, everything that we have mentioned is null and void if this specific right is not applied. And that is applying the ahkam, applying the rulings and the regulations, and following through the boundaries of the Quran. And this is from the most important things that needs to be established in the household. From the greatest calamities that we see nowadays is that we see the parents advising their children with the advices of the Quran. Yeah, oh my son, oh my daughter, don't lie, don't steal, don't talk back, don't raise your voice. And the child, especially at their vital ages, within their vital ages, they witness their parents contradicting these same advices. They witness their parents contradicting these same practices, commanding them to not steal, to not lie, to not yell, to not whatever it may be, and they see their parents contradicting it. This, especially for the child, is psychologically very detrimental, first and foremost, because it resonates with them, right? And it's something that sticks with them, right? And once they become convinced that you are opposing your own advice, it's very hard for them to come back from this, especially in this day and age. And this is something that the Sheikh has mentioned and is very diligent upon notifying us about, right? From also the importance of the Quran being applied, like we mentioned, is from the greatest of its fruits is applying it, right? And the Quran is nothing without it being applied. Rather, when you are trying to discipline your children and you're trying to teach them the proper qualities and the mannerisms and the etiquettes they need to carry and embody, it's not just sufficient to say, "Ya ibni, don't backbite," "Oh my beloved son, don't backbite," or "You shouldn't lie," right? Or "You should refrain from disobeying your parents." This general advice is not incorrect, it's not faulty, but rather what is more befitting, the more wholesome picture is that you attach this command or this advice with the direct verse of the Quran. And you show your children that rather your advice, the way you're disciplining them, the way you're trying to build them, is not merely what you see to be befitting. It is taken directly from the speech of your Creator. So when you build this attachment and this bond with the Quran, and you show them that everything that you're advising them, that you're enjoining them with, and you're forbidding them from, is rather the speech of Allah Azza wa Jalla, this will become the overall blueprint for the child, right? And now the bond with the Quran will be stronger, and now you have been a direct bridge for the child's application of the Quran. And this is what is requested.
الحق الأخير مما ذكر حق تعليم القرآن والإنفاق في خدمته، وهذا مما ينبغي أن يغرس في نفس الطفل. ربما من كان معلما للقرآن أو مقرئا أو شيخا يرى أولاده كيف يخدم القرآن ويعلم الناس ويقرئ ويحضر المحاضرات ويسمع للشباب أو للأطفال فيتعلمون. طب ماذا عن الإنسان العادي؟ يري أولاده كيف يشجع أهل القرآن، يجمع أولاده ويريهم كيف ينفق على المراكز القرآنية أو على المساجد أو على حلقات تحفيظ القرآن، حتى يغرس فيهم أن القرآن هذا مسؤوليتنا كلنا أن نحافظ على هذا القرآن، وهو مشروع الحياة بالنسبة إلينا. وممكن إعطاء الطفل مساحة حتى يعلم غيره بقدر مؤهلاته. يعني ممكن طفل عرف الحروف أن يعلم طفلا أصغر منه فيشعر بالمسؤولية أنه يعلم القرآن، ويشجع بكلمات التشجيع والثناء على هذا المجهود، ويعني يخبر عن مستقبل نتوقعه منه في المستقبل أن تكون معلما للقرآن إن شاء الله، وأن تقرأ القرآن وأن تحصل على الإجازة وأن يكون عندك طلاب كثر وتأخذ الثواب العظيم، هذا كله يغرس في نفس الطفل منذ الطفولة. وجزاكم الله خيرا. لا أريد أن نطيل أكثر من ذلك، اختصرنا حتى لا نعكر مضغ البيتزا. بارك الله فيكم، صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
The last and the final of these rights that the Quran has upon us that we mentioned earlier in the lecture, in the introduction, is remaining persistent in the teaching of the Quran. Meaning, once we have went through all these 6 rights that we've previously mentioned, encouraging the child or encouraging the people in the household who have busied themselves in learning the Quran to now give back. And this giving back is of multiple types. How do you give back with the Quran? Right? As the conclusion we'll all come to, by teaching the Quran. Once the child has become a hafiz, or even if they become someone who is persistent and strong, right, in the recitation of the Quran and reciting its ahruf, its letters properly, allow them to go ahead and benefit other children. Teach them this kind of approach with the Quran, that it doesn't just stop with you, that the Quran is something that must be continuously spread and continuously aided. The first way is, like we said, getting them and encourage them to get to a point where they're teaching, right? The second thing is also by showing them that from our way of life, from our lifestyles, we continuously aid the marakis, the institutes, the masajid, the places that have specifically made it upon themselves to teach the Quran and spread the Quran and aid the Quran, whether it's financially, whether it's with one's manpower, whatever it may be, whether it's aiding the teachers, the mashayikh who are up with this job, right? Just making it a part of your lifestyle, teaching the child that they need to keep this kind of environment present with them in their lives, and it's not just limited to them learning the Quran. Rather, they get to a point where they're a part of the learning process and the teaching process. Even if they're not a point where they can teach, but there's a way from the back ends that they can go ahead and aid and assist, whether it's giving charity, whether it's donating financially, whether it's aiding with your manpower, whatever it may be. This is something that keeps the Quran relevant in your life, as the Sheikh mentions, and is something that's necessary within our lifestyle, and most importantly, necessary within the nourishment of our households and our families and our children. And the Sheikh concludes with this, and he doesn't want to interfere with everyone's time in enjoying their pizza. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to benefit us from what the Sheikh has taught us. Ameen. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to elevate his ranks in the dunya and the akhirah. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to uplift any hardship and burden from the Sheikh, and to keep him in sound health, and to make him from those who benefit this ummah, and to make him a means for us to learn the Quran. As we know that this is what the Sheikh, mashallah, Allah Azza wa Jalla has blessed him to be busied with, specifically teaching everything that has to do with the Quran. May Allah Azza wa Jalla elevate him and reward him for this, and allow him to be resurrected with the Qur'an, to be resurrected with those who are reciting the Quran on the Day of Judgment, and allow us to be from those who are within that gathering as well. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. We also send our thanks to the beloved Idara, Ustaz Tariq and his team, and everyone that was a part of setting this up and having this started. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to reward them, and to make this a form of sadaqah jariyah for them, and to make it heavy on the scale of deeds. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. And of course, we thank all of us. We thank everyone for coming out, right, for benefiting from this very, very lofty and important and immense advice regarding the Quran and how to apply it within our households. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla, the Almighty, the Exalted, to allow us to benefit from this and apply it. هذا والله أعلم وجل وأعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خير. الله يحفظكم يا شيخ.